Hi, guys. Welcome back to Hope You Dance. This is Hayley. I am your hostess, in case you haven't seen one of our shows yet. I am very excited for today's episode. As you can see, I am doing it solo as I go through this process of just trying to figure out how I want to run my podcast. I want to try out some different things, and so today I decided to do it solo just to see how it goes. But I'm also really excited for today's topic. I think it's something that not only people in the entertainment industry can relate to, but people every day can relate to. And that's the process of hearing no and the process of being told no. Now, what I mean by that is we all get this feeling of rejection, right? We go through it every day. But I think specifically in the entertainment industry, it can be very tough, right? Because it's our talent being put on the line, and it's the hard work that we've put into something that's being put on the line, and that can make things very difficult when you audition for something, when you compete, when your partner doesn't want to dance with you anymore, when you try and write a book and your publisher doesn't want to publish it. It's all those things, right? So this process of hearing no, it's something that I've had to really grow into over the last however many years. Is I think we can very easily get stuck in this feeling of feeling like we're not good enough and feeling or questioning, why am I good enough, or questioning, is this what I should be doing with my life? I think everybody's biggest goal is to love something and be able to make a career out of it, right? So that's going to be where our podcast starts today, because I'm going to tell a little bit about my journey and one of the experiences that I went through. And that was with the Magic dance team recently put together a co-ed hip hop dance team. And if you guys know me, my background is all hip hop. I didn't grow up doing jazz. I didn't grow up doing ballet, tap, none of it. I did strictly hip hop. So I was excited for this, right? I was really excited for this. And I felt like I had a good chance of making the team, right? So you go through a few different sections. You go through like your preliminary round, which was freestyles, right? Then you go through a choreography round where they teach you choreography in the matter of like an hour, and then they put you in groups of 4 to do it, right? And there's like at least 100 people there, so they're bringing you out by groups of 4, and you're just watching every group go, trying to remember the choreography, trying to practice as much as you can. And then they either say, yes, you've made it to the final round, or no, you haven't made it to the final round. So my first year auditioning, I can't remember when it was. I want to say maybe 2019, maybe. I think it might have been either 2018 or 2019. And this was my first really big audition, I want to say. This was my first big audition. And so I was excited. And like I said, I felt like I really had a shot. Like I was like, I think I can make this work. Hip hop it's my niche. So I felt like I really had a chance. And so I went through the freestyle round, made it to the next round, right? Learn the choreography, do it in groups, and then they call your numbers if you made it to the final round. My number was called. Super excited, right? You get a t-shirt, you do a little interview. I was excited. And then you go through a few days of training, actually, with everybody that made finals to just get to know people, work on the choreography, and then you come back at a later date and do that choreography again after you've gotten to practice it. So I went in for the final round and I killed it. I was like, I couldn't have done any of that any better. This is I'm proud of what I put on the floor. Now, I wasn't like, I definitely made the team, because obviously you never know. But I felt good about what I did. I felt like there was nothing else I possibly could have put on the floor. Now, this was an audition where if you make the team, you do hear from them. But if you don't make the team, you don't hear from them. So you're just stuck waiting all day. So I want to say maybe a week later, the emails started getting sent out of people being accepted. And I remember talking to my friends and did you get your email yet? And some of them were like, yeah, and some of them said no. And I never received an email, right? And so my first feeling was obviously like feeling devastated, feeling sad, crying, needing a pep talk from my mom, all the things, right? And I questioned why. I was, what do the other dancers have that I didn't have? Was it because of the way I look? Was I too tall? Was I too skinny? Was my dancing not good enough? Like what was it? And in this particular instance, I don't remember if I asked for feedback. I don't think I did, because I'm sure I would have remembered if I did that. So I don't think I asked for feedback, but I just remember being devastated. I remember being like, I could not have given any more. I am so proud of what I showed them, of myself and of my dancing, and just why? Like, why not? Why not me? Why these other people and why not me? And I noticed now, but when I look back, I noticed you really go through stages of grief when a situation like that happens, right? You go through like denial, bargaining, anger, depression. Like you go through the whole thing, and then finally you end up accepting it. Obviously, the accepting part is the hardest part, I think. But I was stuck in the depression part of it, I think, for a while, of just feeling like, I don't know why I'm dancing. I don't know why I'm dancing. I'm clearly not good enough. They didn't say yes to me. Something I felt like I put my best foot forward in didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So why am I doing this? I'm clearly never going to make a career out of it. And so I went through that process. And then I remember even going through a phase where I was like, I'm never going to find something in like the entertainment industry or in dancing and be able to make a career out of it. And then I went through this phase of being completely terrified that I was going to get stuck doing like a 9-to-5 desk job, which there's nothing wrong with that. But when you're a dancer, you want to dance, right? You want to perform, you want to dance, you want to do the whole thing. And I just remember being terrified of, I'm not going to be able to make that happen. There's something going on, and I can't figure out what it is, but there's just, I feel like I can't do it. I feel like I can't do it, and I feel like I'm not good enough, and I think it's very natural to go through those phases. And then I don't know where this came about, but I was convinced that if I had done a backflip at this audition, I would have made the team. And like I said, I don't know where that came from. I think it came from watching, it was a co-ed team, like I said, and I think it came from watching the guys and knowing that girls don't normally have that kind of ability to have tricks and flips and all the things. So I was like, this is going to be what helps me stand out. They are going to need me because I am able to do tricks and flips and also dance. So for a year, I was in the gym. I was, at tumbling classes. I was working my butt off to really try and get my tumbling and my backflips and my tricks back. I was an all-star cheerleader for a really long time, and I was able to do all of those things. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to get it back. And, I got to a pretty good point, and I went to Magic auditions the following year and didn't make the team again. But I remember letting it get me to a point where I was obsessed. I was obsessed with, I need to make this happen. I need to make the magic. I need to be able to do all of these flips. And I was just in a point where every week I was stressed of, how can I make this happen? What can I do to make this happen? And eventually I kind of let it go, right? Like I kind of was accepted, like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. And I could have kept working and taking classes and auditioning again. And, maybe I would have made the team again. But I think I got to a point where I was putting all of my eggs in one basket. And when it wasn't working out, it was just disappointing and depressing. So I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to find something new. And I did. And looking back years later, I see, okay, that worked out the way it was supposed to work out. I wasn't supposed to do that. I was not supposed to make that team because I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing right now. And what I'm doing right now is awesome. And I love it. So I think that's a really important thing too, to just trust the process and trust that things do happen for a reason. So that's my personal experience specifically with that. And I've gone through other experiences, but that's the one that really sticks in my head. That was the one that hurt. That was the one that really hurt. And I think it's just because it was my background. It was what I grew up doing and what I felt so good about. So to be told, no, you're not making the team for whatever reason, I think was just very heartbreaking. But that brings me to my next point, which is dealing with those feelings, right? Turn the page in my notebook. I think the important thing to remember is that everyone deals with it, especially in the entertainment industry. You look at some of the most famous people that failed or were told that they were going to fail, that ended up becoming, like I said, some of the most famous people. Oprah Winfrey, Jackie Chan, Walt Disney, I think, was told that his ideas were too creative or too much out of the box and that nobody would like them. Michael Jordan was one of them. I looked up a list of people and read about their stories of some of the most amazing people and some of the people that we look up to the most, or some of the most famous people, are people that were told, no, this isn't going to work out for you, or you are never going to make this happen, or you're never going to be good enough. And so I think it's important to think about those things. And you think about how many movies, songs, books, auditions happen every day, and how many people are told no. How many people are said to that this book is not good, I'm not publishing it. This movie is not going to work out well, I won't produce it. This song isn't good enough, I'm not going to record it. You know what I mean? So it's something that every single person goes through, and I think we tend to let it eat us up, but it is something that we all share and something that I think anybody can really relate to. But I think one of the most important things that I need to emphasize today is that failure is part of this process. It really is. I spoke a little bit about my coach, one of the coaches I had in my last episode with my mom, and her name was AJ. And one of the biggest things that she told one of her teams was, you have to really be knocked down and climb yourself back up in order to be successful and in order to be a champion. You have to just be knocked down to lower than low, and then find a way to climb back up. And that's how champions are made. I think there's a Rocky quote about that, but I remember that. And I don't even think it was my team that she told it to, but there is a video of it somewhere on YouTube, I think.
Okay, so let's start today off by saying that today I am not your friend. Today you're probably going to hate me most of the day. But that is what we need, I think, right now. So we have a good time most of the time. We just had a good time before we started, but the next few hours is going to be lots of hard work, okay? So just understand that when I'm pushing you and when I'm on you, or if I'm even yelling at you or pushing you harder than you feel like you can go, it's all because of how much I believe in what you can do. So don't take it personally that I'm on you. I'm on you because I know that you can be better than you're being. If I wasn't on you, then that means I gave up on you. And I'm not going to give up on any of you, and I'm not going to give up on this team. So when I'm doing the things I'm doing today, it's all for the benefit of you guys being the best you could possibly be at Worlds. So just know that going into today. It's going to be rough. Trust me, it's not always easy for me to yell at you guys, because I feel bad, because you are working hard, but that's what we're going to need. Like I told you before, it's going to be probably the hardest year for us to be successful. And I know you guys want to win, but it's not always about winning. So the goal isn't necessarily to win. Yes, that is one of our goals, but our biggest goal is to go down there and do the best that we can. So as long as we fix the little things and we gave it our all and we don't have those little issues anymore, then I'll be happy with that. Because we've been so successful. So our goal this season is to have fun, be successful again. If we happen to win again, great. But the biggest thing is that we just do our absolute best and we feel like we tried our hardest. Well, you're definitely going to sweat. If you're not sweating, then I'm doing something wrong. You might cry. You might throw up. You might pass out. But I am also not going to stop there. Sorry, but if you throw up, I'm not going to be like, oh, maybe we should take it easy. It's just, that's what it takes. That's what it's going to take to be great. Like, that's what we're trying to be, is great. We're trying to do something that hasn't been done before. To stay on top and to be great, you have to be knocked down, you have to be defeated, you have to climb back to the top. I'm going to try to defeat you today and try to push you back down so that you can climb back up and figure out what it takes to be that strong.
I think it's so important to just realize that champions aren't made because of their successes. They're made because of their resilience and their ability to bounce back from whatever has knocked them down. Because those are some really key characteristics of the strongest and most successful people we know. Very rarely do people just be naturally successful without putting any work in. Very rarely does that happen. But resilience, perseverance, the ability to learn from failures, those are all things that are big characteristics and help build a champion. People will fall over and over again, but they learn from every fall and then they use it to help them succeed. And most people go through that phase of failing or falling. But the people that can use it as lessons, as a way to build themselves back up, those are the people that eventually become champions. And I think it's so important. You have to learn how to fail just as much as you have to learn how to succeed. And I think that's a really important thing, because without the failing, you wouldn't know how to succeed. I'm going to say that again. You have to learn how to fail just as much as you have to learn how to succeed. And I think that's a really important thing, because the people that succeed are the people that, like I said, have learned from those fails. So it's part of the process. It's all part of the process of knowing, like, okay, I need to go through this and climb my way back out and work harder and get better. My next point is that you have to know how to use the feelings you have as motivation. It's easy to let the fact that we feel bad or depressed or like we're not good enough, it's easy to let those feelings completely consume us. And you can't let that happen. And you have to feel whatever you need to feel and then figure out, how am I going to make my way back from this? How am I going to learn from this? How am I going to take feedback? How am I going to use it as a way to help me get to where I want to be? I think the biggest thing I think about is, specifically in the case with the magic, is I thought to myself, I don't want to feel like this again. I don't want to feel like this again. So what steps can I take in order to make sure I don't feel like this again? And that was something that hit hard. That put me in a point of, okay, what should I be doing now? What can I do now to make sure this doesn't happen again? What can I do now to make sure that I turn this into a success and not another failure? And failure is obviously a subjective word. Like, I don't think being told no is a fail, right? Because you learn from every single experience that you have. But I had to learn to switch my mindset from I can't do this or I'm not good enough to I can do this and I'm going to learn from this and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it as fuel. I'm going to use it as motivation, and I am going to work harder and I'm going to get to where I want to be. And I didn't get to where I want to be in the way that I thought, but I got somewhere pretty amazing. And so, like I said earlier, I look back at that and I go, okay, this happened the way it was supposed to. And I think that there is a part, especially in the entertainment industry, there's a part of us that has to know how to build thick skin. This industry isn't always personal. Sometimes it is about the way you look. Sometimes it is about that you were amazing, but somebody else just had something that they needed. There's really so many different things, and it's not a personal thing, it's a business thing. And so you have to learn how to have thick skin and say, okay, I wasn't right for this role, but that doesn't mean I'm not right to still go for this and to still be a part of this and to still be a dancer and to still want to grow and make something of myself. That's definitely never what that means, because one person's opinion isn't one, end all be all, right? As a ballroom dancer, there are 9 different judges on the floor. There's no rubric. There's no scorecard. There's no way for us to know what each judge is actually looking for because it's subjective. And we go through and we dance the best we can. And we put ourselves in a position to be judged. We are putting ourselves in a position to be judged. So we have to know at the end of the day that, okay, I need to really build some thick skin and know that I'm putting the best I can on the floor. I'm doing everything I can to make this happen. And if somebody doesn't like what they see, I don't know what the reason might be. So I can't let it completely define who I am as a person and what I want to do with my life. And I think that takes me to the next thing of if you can get feedback, always get feedback. And don't let it anger you. Don't storm out. Let it fuel you. Let it motivate you and work on those things so that when you come back next time, you can say, I worked on those things. I got better doing this. And whether or not you make it next time, guess what? You are another step ahead because you listened to that advice and because you worked on it and because you let it motivate you and fuel you. So really the biggest takeaway that I think I want everybody to take away from today's episode is the fact that failing has to happen. It has to happen for you to grow and for you to get better and for you to become a champion. That's the biggest thing I hope you can all take away from today. And I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was a little different. Like I said, it was a solo session, but I really think it was a cool thing for me to talk about, honestly, because it's just something that I don't want to say I know it so well, but it's something that I know we all go through, and it's something I have gone through, and something I know other people go through, and something that we really just all go through every day. So I know that we can all relate to it. So I thought it would be cool to just share my personal experiences and my own opinion on how to handle those things. And I'm not amazing at handling them, honestly. I know the way that things should be handled or the things that we can do to help those situations, but even I'm still learning how to manage those situations so that we don't feel like complete failures. But I do hope that you guys were able to take even something small away from today's episode. And I can't wait for the next one. And I hope you guys enjoyed today. Thanks so much.